Hey there, Andrew Jobling, the accidental author, and I'm very excited to have Bianca Bassett here to chat. Hello, Bianca. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Andrew. How are you?
Oh, wonderful, and
That's
great,
great.
great to have you. You've been traveling the world, haven't you, recently?
Uh, a little bit, yeah, not the
Yeah.
world, America, but yeah, a little
Oh, that's
bit,
that's the
yeah.
other side of the world
It is
from
the it
Australia.
is certainly the other side of the world. Yes, it's a long way.
What were you doing over there?
I spoke at a conference and took a little bit of leisure time as well, but the initially was speaking at a conference over there. So
Oh, wonderful. So you are now, Bianca, you're an author, obviously. That's why you're here. You're clearly a speaker because you do that. You live in the beautiful Gippsland area. So whereabouts are you, which is for those that are not from Australia or Victoria, that's a southern coastal part of Victoria?
yeah, so I'm in Lakes Entrance, which is East Gippsland. Yeah, on the southern coast, right on the coast. So lots of
Yeah,
beaches, and it's really beautiful. We've got a great lake system here.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. What a life, hey? So Bianca, I mean, you've had some challenges in your life, hence you've wrote your book and you've
Yeah.
obviously overcome and you're now inspiring lots of people. So before we sort of dive into the specifics about which obviously this conversation is to help authors, aspiring authors, tell us a bit about your journey.
Yeah, so it starts at birth. I was born with one of the world's rarest blood diseases. And in 1980, giving away my age there, I was the 12th known case in the world. So
Okay. Wow.
it was incredibly rare. Um, very fortunate to have the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne and the incredible team there who picked it up because it is so rare. So I grew up with living with this blood disease, and that meant blood transfusions every 4 weeks,
Right.
um, plus a few other complications along the way. I have had a splenectomy, so I'm susceptible to infection, which has then unfortunately led to becoming septic quite a few times
Right.
throughout my life. And then we had a little bit of an incident in 2016 where I breathed in some mold and got a fungal infection in my lungs. So that led to a secondary infection of sepsis.
Right.
And as we know, with complications of sepsis, it's often not a great outcome. So during that time, I was in a coma for a little over 3 weeks, and
Wow.
I developed a DVT in my left leg.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they had to leave it for a while because I was just too sick to be operated on. So the DVT grew and meant that they had to amputate the leg from above the knee. So I'm an above knee amputee,
Right.
technically, and a wheelchair. So I navigate the world predominantly using a wheelchair rather than prosthetics.
Sorry, you said you're in a wheelchair at the moment?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I mean, gee whiz, I guess, that's the life you've been given, and probably the treatment you've had from birth was just normal for you, I would imagine. Just the transfusions was just part of your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew nothing different.
Yeah.
So a 4 weekly trip to the hospital was great. I got to get out of going to school, and when you're a youngin and you don't necessarily want to go to school. Um, but I had a really great relationship with the staff. So there were some great times.
Yeah. So when the sepsis happened and the DVT happened, and then so that was about 6 years you lost your leg.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
did that? I mean, how did you handle that? What was the
Well, I actually wasn't really too sad when I woke up. So I have a huge gap in my memory. I remember going to my GP a few bits and pieces in between that and then waking up without the leg. Unfortunately, my husband had to make the really tough decision and it came to life or leg. If they didn't take it,
yeah,
I would have.
yeah,
When I woke up, I remember an experience that I had, and I tell people to take it with a grain of salt. But I had an experience where I believe that I had died. I had clinically died during my time in hospital, And I remember that. So when I woke up and realized that I had a second chance, I was really happy about that.
Okay.
So I never felt sad about losing the leg. I was actually happy that my kids were teenagers. They had previously lost their dad to bowel cancer 4 years before that. So I knew that they still had a parent. And for me, that was huge.
Yeah. So gratitude, I guess, for being around was the primary feeling you went through.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I'm not scared of death, having gone through that experience. And when it happens, I'm really comfortable with that. But for my kids, the teenage years are tough. And to have lost two parents in that time would have, as a parent, you don't want that for your kids.
No, of course not. Of course not.
You want to be around. So it was, that I was really happy that I was still around to see them grow.
Yeah, awesome. And so when was the moment you said, I'm going to write a book? I want to write a book and I want to inspire people, I want to help people. Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so rehab is, when you go through something like that, it's a really long process where I couldn't work for 5 years and I was getting bored. I worked a lot before that. And my dad, who is also an author, and he's been in the newspaper industry most of his working life, and he said, you need to write a book. It was, he said, you've got to do this. I'll support you. I'll do what I can to help you get there with his experience. And so we did it. We wrote the book.
Awesome.
I didn't think that there was much of a story to tell, but when you start writing it and when you start going through the process, it's incredible.
Yeah. So what's the main premise, or what's the main message? What's the main outcome that you want that book to have on lives?
So the book, really for me, I tell people to make it count. Make every minute count. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know, what tomorrow's going to bring. So every day, be grateful for every day you have. Enjoy the small things. I remember waking up from a coma and it felt like a rebirth. And I remember enjoying all the little things, going outside for the first time and literally smelling the roses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember the first sausage that I had from a barbecue after I woke up. And it's such a small thing, but it was amazing.
Different.
It was almost like being a child experiencing new things again.
Yeah.
And we lose that. We lose that as adults. So I really encourage people to.
Such a powerful message. And Bianca, we're going to not talk too much more about it because you and I are going to do a podcast and we'll get deeper into your story and that message podcast. What I want to just change direction a little bit, because now I know you self-publish your book, which a lot of people do. And, and people that are watching this know that I have nothing against self-publishing. What I do know is that for many people who self-publish, they do it for all the wrong reasons. And they don't end up getting a result they want with their book. Now you've had very great results self-publishing. You said you just got your second print run. Is that correct?
Just about to do a second print run.
Just about to do a second print run, which means you've sold a significant number of books through self-publishing. And now, whether you I'm talking now to people listening here, whether you are self-publishing or you've got a traditional publisher, you still have to be proactive and you still have to take responsibility for sales of your book. So what Bianca we're going to talk about now is how she's gone about having so much success selling her book, because whether you're self-published or not, these are things that I really, want to encourage people to take full notice of and advantage of and take action on. So firstly, congratulations on your book. And have you got a copy of it here so people can see it?
Oh,
now it's called.
It's not very organized of me.
It's not very organized, but it's called Walking My Path.
Yes.
Building Memories. I
do have a website, so you can go to biancabassett.com.
Well, we'll get your website. I'll put your website up later before we finish, but that's okay. So tell us how what was your mission? What was your goal when you wrote the book, and how have you gone about, having so much success selling it?
I didn't have any huge expectations. I knew a lot of people were interested in my story. I have a bit of a marketing background anyway, so I knew that if I wanted to sell, I had to work really hard. And I brought people along the journey with me, and I think that was really important. Picking up the phone, be prepared to get lots of no's. that was evident from the beginning. But build a relationship with your local bookstore. That was key. My local bookstore supported my book enormously, and so did East Gippsland. People in East Gippsland really got
The whole
behind it.
community. Yeah.
The whole community. But, I rang the newspaper, the radio, I emailed people, I reached out, I talked about it a lot. Any opportunity you have to talk about your book, take that opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky I have great relationships in East Gippsland. So I did a book launch. I did quite a big book launch. I made it a big deal. So I got all of the local media involved, and I had our local federal member, our local state member, I had our mayor, I had the CEO of East Gippsland Shire Council, including some directors. Now, it was a bit of a joke actually at the launch, because all of those people hadn't been in the same room ever.
Wow.
Like for anything like that.
Yeah.
And our federal member, Darren Chester, actually made a bit of a joke that they were all too scared to say no to me. So, but later on, after, having a conversation with some other people, I built relationships. It's really about building relationships. And look, they were amazing. They didn't have to be there, and they chose to be there to support me and my journey and my book. And I really appreciate it.
But you had to make the phone calls, and you had to put yourself out there, and you had to face rejection, and you had to be okay.
Absolutely.
And, that room wouldn't have been full with all the people, and certainly those influential people, had you not taken a bit of a chance and got out
absolutely
zone and picked up the phone and done what you did. So
I think I've made probably at least 300 or 400 phone calls, and had success in maybe 10-20% of that.
Okay. Well, that's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
So you've got to be good with rejection, don't you? And you've actually got to understand that, so you said 10 to 20% of 300, which is 30 to 60, let's say 50 positive responses from 300 phone calls, which means out of 300, 250 of them are see you later, not interested, leave us alone. And you've got to understand that that's what was that? That's about 1 in 6, right? That's about 1 in 6 phone calls you make. You'll get some kind of positive response. 5 in 6, you're going to get a rejection. But if you don't get the 5 rejections, you'll never get the 1 success. So you've got to celebrate that rejection.
And a positive response doesn't always necessarily mean a book sale. No. A positive response could be, we'll promote it on our social media, or we'll pop a story in the paper, or it is about getting that momentum and getting people knowing about your book.
Totally, 100%. I think it's interesting, isn't it? A lot of authors, self-publish their book and get it up on Amazon and get it up on Booktopia and get it up, and it's there and there. But how come no one's buying it? Well, people have to know it's there. Just because it's up on a platform doesn't mean people know it's there, and it's that work you did, the book launch and the media and all that sort of stuff that gets it known, gets it. People go, okay, well, I want to buy it. They go and look for it. They have to know it's there before they can buy it.
Yeah. And lots of speaking in front of people. So I do quite a bit of public speaking as well.
Yep.
So
how do you get those? How do you get those speaking gigs?
Initially I made lots of phone calls again. Your local Rotary clubs, your Apex clubs, community groups, going and having a talk and sharing your story. They're always looking for key speakers at their monthly meetings. I started local. Now, obviously,
You're international.
Yeah, yes, I can say I'm international now. But you start local. You have to start with the people around you and build that foundation, and that's how you progress to some of the bigger work.
Well, it's a ripple effect, isn't it? You've got to start in your pond, but there's always a ripple effect with the things you do. I speak a lot about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And initially I never charged for my speaking gigs. I used to make a deal. I'll come and speak for you if I can bring a few books to sell. So that worked really well for me as well.
Yeah. So what's the vision moving forward, Bianca? You've got a second book printing, you've got, you're now an international speaker. You're obviously having an impact on lives. What's next?
I'd love to get a publisher. I'm self-published. It would be great to get a publisher. That's hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition.
Yeah. Well, after we've stopped recording, you and I should talk. We'll actually talk about that. But yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got some evidence of success now. So obviously, your book's good and it's selling, and so what publishers are. And I say this to everyone I work with: publishers want to sell books. That's what they want to do. They want to make money. So if they know that they're confident there's a book out there, A, that he's got a good message, but B, there's a proactive author behind that book, which you clearly are, that significantly increases your chances of a publisher saying, yeah, why not? So
yeah, you've got to be willing to work. The book will not sell itself. It doesn't get on the bookshelves itself. It doesn't get into people's homes and into people's hands itself. You have to really quite actively get it there. That's
awesome. Okay, so Bianca, any last messages you would give to people watching this that are, there are varying stages of the process. Some people are just starting in their writing journey. Others are submitting to publishers. Others have got books and are trying to create more success in terms of sales and opportunities in speaking. What one piece of advice would you give them as we wrap up?
Pick up the phone. Just
there it is, simple.
Pick up the phone. Just ring, do a Google search, find out where, even if it's, if you want your book in a particular bookstore, pick up the phone or go in if you live near it, and build those relationships. Yeah, that's awesome. Brilliant. Okay, so now Bianca, you mentioned you've got a website where people can go and find out more about you and buy your book and book you as a speaker if they want to. What's your website? biancabassett.com.au. Okay, well, that has come up on the screen now, so people will be able to go and visit you, and I really want to encourage you to reach out to Bianca. You'll hear more from her, don't worry. We will be doing a podcast together, which will go, and I think that message of making every minute count is such a powerful message. So thank you so much for spending some time with me, Bianca, and I know this message is going to inspire lots of people to pick up the phone. So thank you so much. No worries. Thanks, Andrew.